Morning everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm stitchywitch42 here on FlossTube and over on Instagram. This is Thursday, the 11th day of May 2023. This is my channel about cross-stitch, life, the universe, and everything. And it's not always what people might expect on a cross-stitching channel, but it's what I do. So there you go. So on my last video, I was telling you that right after my birthday, I had to have a little procedure done. Procedure went well. The prep is always, Procedure went well, but they found a couple of polyps and they have decided that I need to repeat this procedure in 3 to 5 years. I'm still waiting for the results from the biopsies, but basically my doctor told me everything looked good. He also told me that he wants me to come see him in about a month and talk to him about getting my appendix removed. If you've been with me for a while, thank you very much. If you're new to my channel, last October I ended up in the hospital for 6 days because my appendix ruptured. They didn't remove them. Not them, it. They didn't remove it because they tried to treat it with antibiotics, but I also had an extenuating circumstance. They had discovered a blood clot in my lung, and that would have raised my mortality rate a lot if they had done surgery. So they pumped me full of antibiotics. They put me on blood thinners. I stopped the blood thinners after February. I had another CAT scan then, and there was no signs of any blood clots anywhere. And the appendix looked as normal as it could after rupturing at that time. But I'm still having some issues with it. It aches in that lower area of my abdomen a lot, and so when he told me that he wants to schedule having it removed, I agree with him. I'm just hoping that I can get him to postpone it until this October, simply because my anniversary date at work is in September and I have no more PTO to use up. And since I'm only working part-time, if I take a week off without PTO, I kind of mess things up for myself, okay? There you go. So I'm hoping that when I talk to him, we can schedule it for this coming October. I got some notes because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, after that was all done, I got to go up to Acorns and Threads on the first Thursday of the month, which just happened to be May the 4th be with you. There were a lot of people up there that day. It was really nice. We had a couple of new ladies join with us. What I took with me to work on was my Alphonse Mucha. I have not been working a lot on her. In fact, the only times I've been working on her recently is when I've been able to take her with me someplace. I don't know why. It's funny. I love her. I've loved stitching all of them that I've done. This is my 4th one. But this one, it's like I can go weeks without touching her, and then all of a sudden I'll pick her up and it's like 5 or 6 days of steady stitching. And when I do that, I get so much progress done, but I haven't been doing that. So anyway, I took her with me up to Acorns and Threads, and I am working in this area right here. I did a lot of fill-in up here. I'm now working through this darker section down here. If you see this line right here, that is the edge of this page, the bottom and the side edge of this page. This little section right here is page 20. This is page 19. Then I'll do 18 and 17 over here. Now the reason I'm telling you that is because she's a 28-page project. This is what she is going to look like when she is finished. And right here is where I am working right now. No, I'm sorry, right here is where I am working right now. So I still have all of that below my finger to finish. I think I started her 2020, I think. Oh well. Bag's on the floor. There you go. Just push it out of the way. So I've been stitching on her. While I was up there, as you do, I had to make some purchases, and I always put them in the bag that I stitched, the freebie from Beth Twist. And I only purchased a couple of things while I was up there. I got myself another skein of Gentle Arts Brown Bear. It's what I'm using for the border on Don't Feed the Trolls, and I will show that in just a little bit. But I also bought a pattern that I have been wanting to stitch for a while. This is the Nebby Needle Quirky Tomato. It's a Biscornu. I think this will be my third Biscornu. And I had actually wanted to start it these past 2 weeks. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's only 3 colors, so I went upstairs and I grabbed my 3 colors, and so that's ready to go. And while I was at Acorns, I bought fabric to stitch it on. This is a cork linen 18 count. It's an even weave. Summer khaki. So that is what I will be stitching it on. The last 2 Biscornus that I made, I stitched on Aida. For me, stitching Biscornus on Aida or even weave is easier than stitching them on linen. It's just the way my brain works. I stitch on everything. I think it's all wonderful, and I think whatever you use to stitch on is, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters, because it's all gorgeous. There are people who like to stitch on the 56 counts. No. For me, no. I like 14 count Aida, 16 count Aida, 18 count Aida, 20 count, which is actually called something else. I don't know what it is. I stitch on 28 count, I stitch on 32 count, I stitch on 36 count. You know, it all depends on the project, so stitch on what you want when you want. It's all beautiful. And the end results, they're all gorgeous. So that was May the 4th be with you up at Acorns and Threads first Thursday. On the 6th, Saturday, was King Charles III's coronation. Now, if you wanted to watch it live here in the United States, you had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think. Was that East Coast? In which case it would have been 6 o'clock in the morning. I work on Saturdays. I watched parts of it on YouTube when I got home after work. I watched everything up to King Charles being coronated. I did not watch her being crowned because I don't care what anybody else says. I don't like her. She is not my queen. No, she is not my queen. So anyway, I watched what I wanted to watch of the coronation on Saturday because this is only going to happen maybe once in my lifetime. Unless something happens and William becomes king, and then I will watch all of that. So, on Monday, the 8th, I got to go up to Anna's house, to the Beehive. There was supposed to be a major cluck-up meeting at the Beehive, and if you don't know who the cluckers are, they are Anna, Cheryl, Colleen, Becca, Becca Sambry Stitches, Susan Stanley Stitch in Time, Heather Punky Pearls, Janine from Acorns and Threads, and myself. Did I get everybody this time? Because I usually leave somebody out. I think I got everybody. Pretty sure I got everybody. If I didn't, somebody tell me. Anyway, it was not a major cluck up. Some people couldn't be there because of life. Cheryl was off traveling. Susan was getting ready for something that she had to take care of. Becca hasn't been feeling well. And so it was just Heather, Anna, Janine, and myself. But still, it was a fabulous day. One of the things that I took with me up to Anna's house was all my Mill Hill beads. If you follow Anna, Stitch Roadies, Quilt Roadies, and you should on both channels as far as I'm concerned, you know that she is stitching the Prairie Schooler Santas. And she's doing the one with the penguins. And that Santa is holding a string of Christmas lights. She wanted to use beads for the Christmas lights, and I told her I would bring my Mill Hill beads to her. This is what I took with me. These are 3 trays of Mill Hill beads that I have. And people, these are Mill Hill beads that I've collected from the Mill Hill kits that I have worked on. I do not think that I have purchased any. No, that's not true. I did purchase some bead packs up at Acorns and Threads. I was working on the Jim Shore Mill Hill compilation, the one I did with the crows and the pumpkins. So I had to buy some packages of beads for that. But all the rest of these, all 3 trays of these, are from Mill Hill kits that I've done. I have a confession to make. When I first started stitching my Mill Hill kits, when I was done with them, I threw everything away. I threw the pattern away, I threw the rest of the floss away, I threw the beads away. I wasn't going to use it again. I wasn't going to stitch it again. Why would I keep any of it? Now when I stitch Mill Hill kits, I keep the pattern. I don't keep the floss because it's just DMC. And there's usually really not enough of it. And I have a lot of DMC, so there's usually not enough to make it worthwhile for me to keep them. But I keep the beads. And I went to Joann's and I got this container. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 24 little tubes in there. And all I did was go and get some circle stickers so I can write down the numbers on there. And now when I'm done with my Mill Hill kits, I separate and sort them and I put them into here. This is an idea that I got from Vonna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher. And it works really good because I've used these. I've gone back and I've used these. When I stitched the 5 little ornaments that Helen D finished for me, I used these beads for all the Christmas lights in those pieces. I've used them for stitching around the edges of small pillows. They're a great thing to save. I've been using them in the journal that I'm working on upstairs. So, just an idea, if you do Mill Hill kits, save the beads because you will be able to use them again for something else. So anyway, up at Anna's house, what I was stitching on was Don't Feed the Trolls. And I've actually made some decent progress on it. So I'm going to show it to you in the Q-snap before I take it out. This is where I'm at on Don't Feed the Trolls. So like I was saying, up at Acorns, I bought another skein of the Gentle Arts Brown Bear. This is what I am using for the border on this piece. Excuse me. I may or may not have belched just now. This is where I'm at with the whole piece here. So you can see I've got down to that corner and I've gotten up to this corner here. There's a lot of border. I had 2 skeins of Brown Bear, and that's what I was using to work on the border. And I realized I was getting kind of low with it. So I decided, since I was going to be up at Acorns and Threads, pick up another skein of it. Yes, the variegation in it is different from the other 2 skeins. So again, I'm working it into it. I started with some of it down here. I brought some of it up here. And then the other place where I've decided to use the Brown Bear is on their clubs. So I stitched down, I've got the words here, I've got don't, the, and troll. And this is Mama Troll. And what I have been doing is I'm outlining her. I am using Gentle Arts Cobblestone. I outlined her. There's a mistake somewhere, but I'm going with it because I think it's flexible enough. And then with Heather's help, figured out where I kind of sort of need to put her hand on the club so that I could stitch that in the cobblestone. And then all the rest of it, I'm using the Brown Bear because I didn't want my clubs to be the same color as the trolls. Because I'm changing it all up from what Kimberly, who is DaisyJo Designs and who designed this piece, I am changing this all up from what she has stitched it. Anna says I'm trying to set the bar too high. I have absolutely no doubt that Anna can do amazing things because I've seen her do amazing things. So let me get that out of the way. Oh yeah, the other night Mark looked over at me working on this and he goes, I dare you to change the words on that. And I said, well, I've already got don't, the, and troll. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, but I dare you to change it to don't lick the trolls. My husband's weird. So I do have a new start. I posted a picture of this on Instagram. This is a pattern that I have had for a while. And when I bought it, I bought everything for it. I didn't buy the DMC because it's charted. I think it has a DMC colorway. I don't know, I have to look at my pattern here. It has DMC and NPS colorways. I'm a DMC girl, so that's what I'm going with. But I have been watching Lori, Textilist, and she was going through some of the patterns that she's been working on, and she showed one from Carriage House sampling, the reindeer feed sack. I bought the Halloween feed sack. I bought fabric for it. I bought the ticking to finish it with. This is what the pattern looks like, and I think it is just absolutely gorgeous. So of course, after watching Lori's video, I went upstairs and I pulled all the stuff for mine, and I ended up putting it in a bag that she gave me. This is a bag that was made by Nikki's Notables. And that's the back of it. This is the front of it. And it has the ticking on it. This is the same ticking that I have upstairs. It's the ticking that I used when I made the little toilet paper needle cases. There's a video that I did on those. But anyway, I've got more stuff falling on the floor. I've got a pretty decent start on it. This is where I am at with this. So, Owls is in there. I've got it's going to say the Owls Beak Farms. I'm working on the owl over here. He's been a bit of a pest, so I'm working on him slowly. This is a vine coming down to the gourd. It's not going to be a very big pattern when it's done. Okay, if you see right there, you can see where the vine is at for the gourd. It's not a big pattern, but right now I am loving the way that it looks. And so I'm hoping that maybe I will have this done before Halloween. We shall see. I don't have a lot of projects. I've taken my Halloween Afghan upstairs because I'm not going to be working on it for a while. It's a winter project because I curl up in my chair and I drape it over me. And if temperatures are going to get up into the 90s, I'm not going to be stitching on it because I don't need to have a blanket over me in the 90s. So, I have a finish. I have a finish of a project that I have been working on for a couple of years now. So I'm going to pause for a moment, go grab my project, and I shall be right back. I'm back. I just needed to figure out when I started this. I have a finish on the Black Needle Society's Frogwarts Year 2. I started this in June of 2021 and I finished it on the 10th, yesterday. Stayed up late last night just so that I could get it done. It is on 32 count Harvest Blessings. And again, I used all the DMCs. Now, I am not stitching the whole pattern. At the bottom of this pattern, at the bottom of all the Frogwarts patterns, they stitched a row that's supposed to look like the spine from the books, and then underneath that there are words that pertain to that particular year. I've made a mistake in the basilisk. I know where the mistake is at. I am not going to correct it, so my basilisk is not necessarily straight the way it should be. As straight as a basilisk can be. But anyway, this is where I'm at, and this is my finish for Frogwarts Year 2. Somewhere over here, I missed a row, so this is all these lower spots are supposed to be on the same line. Those two might be, those two are not. It's not going to make a difference. My plan is when I get around to doing some finishing, this will be made into a drum. I stitched a house. I stitched the Weasley's house. Most of it I had to stitch upside down because working with the Q-snap here, and I have it in the well, this is an 11 by 17 Q-snap. It's rather difficult to hold this whole thing and stitch on this side, right side up. But if I turned it upside down, I could have the majority of it resting on my arm here, and I could stitch one-handed and do it that way. So that was a really interesting way for me to stitch. But we've got the Weasley's house here. We have the flying car. We have Hermione and the Polyjuice potion. The Whomping Willow. Right smack dab in the center and all around, there's those creatures that I don't like. But Aragog is part of the pattern. We have a Mandrake. We have the Sword of Gryffindor. We have the flashlight, the pipes, the diary, Expelliarmus, and of course, we have a basilisk. This has been a fun piece to stitch, but I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's done. I want to show you what I house the flosses in, because when I purchased this one, I was able to do the online retreat with the Black Needle Society, which was a lot of fun. It's the only one that I've done. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, even if I only got to be on it part of the time. But obviously, if I'm going to retreat, I had to have something special to take my project in. Only it doesn't fit all my project. What I did is I found at the Pottery Barn a student's lap desk. And this is the Gryffindor one. So it's got that on the top there. And I know I've shown this before. It slides open this way and there's storage behind it. And it slides open this way, and this is where I have kept all my flosses and the pattern. I do have the year 1 pattern. I would like to purchase the year 3 pattern. I don't know if I'm going to stitch either of those anytime soon, but I like this. And when I get it finished into a drum and I look at it, I may go back and do year 1. Because I don't have year 3 yet. Or year 4 yet. So before I leave you today, I thought that I would talk about what I did on my birthday. Because that was the day that I did my last video. And I think I told you that I was going to go to a Cirque du Soleil with my daughter, Erin. I had the name wrong. It was Cirque Italia. And ever since then, there have been some strange sightings around my house. My husband has caught it on camera a couple of times. And if you've been watching my video, you may have seen some of those sightings yourself. Erin and I drove down to Corvallis to see Paranormal Cirque Italia. And I've never gone to anything like this before. It was a blast. They've got the big tents out in the open field. You go in and they had a lobby area. In the lobby area, there were many zombies and undeads walking around. They had some food booths. They had some vendor booths. They had an area set up with some blue rooms if you needed to go potty. Which I did. As I go walking out that way, there was a guy standing there with a creature on his left side, and that creature tried to bite me on the way out to the blue rooms. I may or may not have tried to bite it back, because it's what I do. When I came back in, there was a voodoo man who was walking around holding a skull in his hand. And all of a sudden, he threw that skull at my face. Startled me. I jumped back. He had it on a piece of elastic. And apparently the man was really, really good with knowing how far away he needed to be from somebody so that he wouldn't hit them. Because he got me not once, but twice. While we were waiting for the show to start. Erin and I were over looking at the couple of vendor booths that they had there, and I felt a movement on my right shoulder, and I turned because I thought it was Erin standing next to me, and when I turned, here's an undead standing right next to me, and I just looked at him and said, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah. I'm not the screamer. I'm not. Behave yourself, Audrey. So anyway, we got to go in, we got to get into our seats. They have all these bleachers. I have to tell you, I really didn't like the bleachers. They had space underneath each one of them so that there was good airflow going through there, because it was one of our warmer days here in Oregon, not in the low 50s. So there was a good breeze that was going through there. But they have the seats on rails on the bleachers. And so you're sitting in this long bleacher. And if anyone moved anywhere on either end of you, it made your seat rock back and forth. Didn't like that. Didn't like that. But the show was fun. It was entertaining. There was a sword swallower. I have never seen a sword swallower before. And when I say it was gaggy, it really, really was, because we weren't really up close, but I could still see her throat move as she was swallowing them, and just gaggy. There was juggling, there was acrobatics, there was high wire, there was the woman who did the acrobatics on one of the rings that are up in the air spinning around. There were the announcers of the show that had a running comedy theme going through the whole thing. There were the guys at the end that were in the two big spinning wheels that were going around and around each other, and they're inside two separate wheels with no harnesses, running, jumping, flipping inside and outside of the wheels, and it was edge of your seat, oh my God, don't fall off. And it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed going and seeing that with my daughter. I posted a few pictures of it on Instagram, and like I said, if you've been watching my video, you may have seen some paranormal sightings closer to home. And so to end this all off, a couple weeks ago, I did a giveaway that had been sent to me by Janet. There were 3 items in there, and 2 of them have been claimed and sent out. But the woman who I named for the enchanter has not contacted me in over a month. So I went back this morning and I drew a new name. And Rhonda Wise, if you are watching this video, please send me an email. I list my email in the Dropbox down below. Please send an email to me with your name and full address so that I can get this in the mail to you. And as I said on my PSA about don't feed the trolls, I will never ask you for anything other than your name and your address if I am doing a giveaway. I will not ask for any personal information. I will not ask you to go to a different website and set up something to send me money. I don't do that. I don't even have the Buy Me a Coffee link on my videos anymore because I don't want to feed the trolls. So that is everything that I have to share with you this week. I hope that wherever you're at, that you've got some decent weather. I hope that you are all doing good. And I would like you all to live long and stitch on, my friends. Bye-bye.